I wanted to ask you, why do you think, and this is just your opinion, why do you think that the feminist movement is embracing the LGBTQIA community as a whole, with trans women and trans men even, and all their issues? They're lumping them into feminism. Why do you think?
Well, so in our last question, what did we discover? We discovered that the oppression of women in Western society is mostly what?
Stuff. I mean, no, it's fake. It's not real. We're not oppressed. Yes. And we're using it to get what we want.
Right. The oppression of women in the West is mostly gone.
Yeah.
They kind of reign queen of society. Like, they get handed everything, just about.
Yeah.
They get a lot of leeway and a lot of freedoms, and they have everything they've ever fought for, just about.
Yeah.
Even the wage gap has recently been proven in research to be non-existent or barely existent. But they don't want to lose their gravy train, right?
Right.
But they have nothing to cry about, right? Now there's no cause to champion. There's no marginalized people to stand up for. There's no underdog to be, at least not in general for women in general in the West.
Yeah.
But where can we find some, though? If we need to keep our gravy train going, keep our movement going, where can we find some?
In the LGBTQIA community.
Let's go find some other marginalized communities. And if we can't find any, let's fracture one into a whole bunch of them.
Yeah. Okay.
And so
this makes sense.
And so with your son, if you suddenly prove that his sickness was fake and now he has to go to school, what's he going to scramble around and do?
Find other ways to be sick, or other ways to stay home, or
break
a finger or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or I have to look after the pet, or I need to go console a friend, or someone at school died, or whatever. Your son will scramble for anything to keep that gravy train going. He wants to be weighted on hand and foot. He doesn't want to go to school. He wants to get his way. And healthy or not, mature or not, high integrity or not, he will just scramble and find whatever he can grab at.
This is true.
So, what do you think happened to the feminism movement?
So, like the emoji, okay. So then you're saying that feminists, maybe not consciously, but are using the trans women and trans rights as a way to stay relevant and to get stuff.
You tell me.
That's what it sounds like. This is.
Well, I'm just saying it's one possibility. Is that?
Oh,
not,
yeah, it's one.
Is that not certainly a possibility?
Of course.
And does it seem like a likely possibility?
Yes.
Since people have been doing this since they were children, we've been trained to do this, and people will generally scramble to keep their gravy train going.
Yeah.
Right. And it takes a very high integrity person to just admit, you know what? The gravy train stops here. I've been abusing you guys. Where the movement is over. We have what we wanted. Right? When's feminism going to stop? 10 years? 20 years? 50 years? 100 years? 1,000 years? It's never going to stop if people can milk it for free stuff to get their way and get what they want.
Yeah.
But
sympathy
But it would stop if people all stepped up and admitted, yeah, we've kind of accomplished what we wanted, instead of scrambling for yet another marginalized cause. Or another excuse or another finger to point.
Well, it makes sense, because the women who don't make the same amount of money as men is because they're not in the same jobs as men, or they're not have the same amount of time put in jobs. Like, there's stats, you can Google it. This is true. And so they had to find another woman in quotes, to me, other women who are oppressed. And the next logical choice is a trans woman.
Or women of color.
Or women of color.
Or whatever.
So, especially on with all the stuff with Black Lives Matter and all the issues, and they're real issues. And I am aware, as a Latina woman, I have had plenty of racist moments in my life, and I've been called many racist names, but being okay with it and like being past it, it doesn't give me the opportunity to lay that my story down if other people are talking about racism or inequality. So this makes a lot of sense.
Let me ask you. So finally, feminism has got all the rights and all the stuff they want. Now they're working on trans and LGBTQIA and lesbians of color or whatever they're working on.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when they get their stuff too, right? 10, 20, 30, 40 years, now they all have their rights too, okay? Right. You think feminism dies? Or you think they find another one? Let's help autistic women or women on the spectrum or whatever. Let's help amputee women. They're not being treated properly. Or women in wheelchairs or so on. Like you think feminism just dies, or there's fifth wave and sixth wave?
No, there'll be, I predict you're correct, that there'll be fifth, sixth, seventh.
Sure, it's easy to predict. Somebody. Yeah, of course they'll find somebody, because anything to keep the gravy train going. Mm-hmm.